Whenever you look at the first 9 chapters of Proverbs, you find that's kind of the foundation for all the short, little, pithy, concise statements that follow. Kind of gives you a good foundation for that. And all those little statements that follow are applications of wisdom in different situations. And the word proverb itself means to resemble, to represent, to be like. So you can see it coming through in, pleasant words are like honey. They are sweet to the spirit and bring healing to the body. You can kind of picture that, can't you? My son, oh no, here's another one. Reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. We can picture that, can't we? My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. And so what's he saying here? Don't be forgetful. Like I was in Edmond one time, coming out of the Panera. I don't know why I was up there by myself coming out of Panera Bread. But I was. And when I came back to the car, I could see my key fob on the seat. I had to open it. Couldn't open it. That is terrible, isn't it, when something like that happens? Or have you ever been walking around with the key in your hand and you're looking for your key? You're like, Debbie, I can't find my key. And, have you looked in your hand? Something like that has happened to me. I know that's kind of unheard for anyone else, but that happens to me. But when we look at this, we are not to forget what has been written down. We need to read it first, and then get it into our minds, embed it within our minds. There's a statement in chapter 4 that says, get wisdom, get understanding. Do not forget my words or swerve from them. Do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. That's in chapter 4. I want to give you an example of how all of these teachings apply to life. I'm going to give you several examples. These 2 to start with. All hard work pays off. But if all you do is talk, you will be poor. And here's another one. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Well, these verses tell the story of a person named Mike Huss. He practiced these wisdom teachings. He went to one school. This is out in California. Went to grade school. Then he went to junior high. And of course, he went to the middle school and then high school. But when he graduated, he went back to this grade school in California that's named here. This is his picture in 72, 73. He didn't go back as a teacher. Well, of course, he just graduated from the high school. He didn't go back as a principal. Of course, he needed more credits and college class teaching. But he did go back as a janitor. As he's there as a janitor, the teachers could see how all the students were kind of drawn to him, and he was very empathetic, and they liked being around him, and they thought he needed to be a teacher. And so the headline was this: 55-year-old becomes principal of elementary school where he once worked as a janitor. And then he says, I am blessed. Here he is, just recently. How did he accomplish all of this? Well, he had several admirable characteristics that really stood out. He was a good model who gave his best. The encouragement he extended to others, his desire to learn, and his willingness to work hard and persevere. Yeah, he was a janitor. But one of the reasons he was a janitor, he wanted to give his wife an opportunity to go to college. She went to college. He was working to take care of bringing in the income that they needed. And he certainly never saw himself even as a teacher, much less a principal. But again, as the teachers saw the kind of support that he was given to all the students, they encouraged him to become one himself. And then he reveals what a work ethic he had. I was working 40 hours a week, coaching my niece's softball team also. And I was going to school on Tuesday and Thursday all day. And this was his work schedule as he earned his teaching degree, his janitor work schedule, 2 to 11 p.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Hey, I thought he was in school during the day. Yeah, he was. And within a week of graduation, he was hired as a 5th grade teacher at that same school where he went to school as a child. And he said, and of course several years later he becomes the principal. But he said his motto, he had one motto: I have to try my best every day for them. Well, that reminded me of another wisdom teaching. It's in the New Testament. But it's when Paul wrote to Timothy, he said, do your best to present yourself as a worker, as one approved of God, a worker who does not need to be ashamed, but who correctly handles the word of truth. Well, the best way to handle truth is to use it correctly. And God urges us to use His wisdom in Proverbs. Here again is Proverbs chapter 4. Lay hold of my words with all your heart. Keep my commands and you will live. Get wisdom. Get understanding. Do not forget my words or swerve from them. Now, if you do these things, what does he say? And you will live. Hey, I think you're already living, aren't you? No, this is a different quality of life. A completely different quality of life. When we put into practice God's wisdom in our life, life changes for us. Here's an example. Right after that, do not forsake wisdom, and she will protect you. Love her, and she will watch over you. Wow, I want someone to protect me. I want someone watching over me, don't you? Especially with the way things are today. Now, we need to seek His wisdom. In fact, wisdom is kind of personified and says, I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. He loves them who do that. Well, this is really God speaking to us. People need wisdom. Someone might say, I'm discouraged, I feel lousy, and just can't seem to do what I need to do. That guy is discouraged, isn't he? Well, what do we need? If we're seeking wisdom, we're gaining it more, we can put it into practice, life can change. And you know what we're to do with it? Well, the wise person teaches others how to live. So I often say, what is wisdom? It's the skill for living that comes from God. And how do we get it? Well, one of the ways to get it is to actually go to God's Word and soak in the teachings that are there. You can also look at His creation. Go to the ant, consider its ways, and be wise? Yeah, I just went to His creation. Another way is pray. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it'll be given to you. And so, in Proverbs chapter 2, Solomon writes that he says that when we search for wisdom, like a hidden treasure, we'll find it. Wisdom will enter our minds, making us more discerning about what is essential for our lives. So if you look for it as for silver and search for it as for hidden treasure, then you will understand what is right and just and fair, every good path. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Open your Bible, it's like a treasure. Some passages really mean more to us than others do. And that might be because of the different things that are happening in your life, too. But another thing that is promised when you do that is this. He holds victory in store for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk as blameless, for he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. Proverbs 2, 7 and 8. For wisdom will enter your heart. Knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will protect you, and understanding will guard you. And I see some protection there, and just in this little picture. Protection. That's what we need. Well, protection from what? This. The dangers of sin and evil. Oh, it can be deceiving, but it is destructive as can be. Solomon writes that when we keep these teachings, we'll be trusting in God and be blessed. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll make your path straight. So He'll protect us from sin. The blessings from God's wisdom, there are many. I just want to focus on two of them this morning. Peace and favor. You want to be popular? Well, I wouldn't really put it that way. Favor. The favor of other people. Looking at the first 8 verses of the 3rd chapter of Proverbs, we see several blessings from wisdom. Practicing wisdom brings peace. A reputation for love and loyalty, which brings favor from God and from people. Straight paths or stability in life. And health and nourishment in one's own physical health. Which usually does what? It prolongs one's life. These benefits of God's wisdom come by putting them into our minds and practicing them. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep them in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years. I think that pictures that, doesn't it? You want to prolong it many years. So my son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and men or people. Now when we read in Proverbs 3:15, a little bit later in that 3rd chapter of Proverbs, it says about wisdom that she is more precious than rubies. Nothing you can desire can compare with her. Well, I don't know if those are rubies or not, but they're around the neck. But it's more precious than that. And we're to keep them close to us. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He'll make your path straight. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones. And so, peace is the first thing I want us to notice. Peace that we get from practicing God's wisdom. The condition is this. My son, do not forget my teachings, but keep my commands in your heart. Peace doesn't just happen. Peace happens by keeping God's commands. Here's how Paul put a God's command to the church at Rome. And listen to this command. And see if I'm correct when I say peace just doesn't happen. Oh, I want peace so badly. It doesn't just happen. Let us therefore make every effort to do what leads to peace and mutual edification. Let us make every effort to do what leads to peace and to mutual edification. It didn't just happen, does it? You make every effort to make it happen. And so this is the condition of peace. Here's the result. For length of days and years of life, your days will be many, and you'll have peace and prosperity. It's a little bit different translate. For the length of days and years of life will bring peace, shalom. And you can see what that means. Some translate peace and prosperity. Well, that's the same thing. It's just two words for that one Hebrew word. Translators could translate the Hebrew word shalom using the English words peace, abundant welfare, prosperity, completeness, peace, safety, prosperity, well-being, intactness, wholeness. Peace can have a force of security, safety, which can bring feelings of satisfaction, well-being, and contentment. Also, the idea of peace includes peace with God, peace with self, peace with others. It would eliminate being a person causing a bunch of trouble. You're not going to have any peace that way. And so what we want to do, when people follow God's wisdom teachings, they shut the door of living with stress, worry, and uncertainty. And they open the door to a life of peace and tranquility. Keeping one door closed and the other open is an ongoing process of focus, trust, and effort. You don't just meet a plateau and then sit back and relax. You've always got to be vigilant about it. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bone. Hey, you know how to take away peace? Start looking at what others have. Well, they have all the luck, you could be thinking. You don't know what everything's happening in their lives. And if you did, you probably wouldn't want it. It's just a surface you see. In other words, don't envy others. Instead, look at your blessings and be thankful. That's what we need to do. And so this within, life without peace has no real color or beauty. And it's difficult. But when peace comes, life comes in a beautiful, colorful way. I just wanted to put a little color in that. But that's how life is. With the peace that comes from God. To have peace with God. Here again, in Psalm 119, 165, that same word, the Hebrew is shalom. That's it. It's great peace. Now, those who love your law, nothing can make them stumble. Those who love your law are, this is another translation, are completely secure. Nothing causes them to stumble. So you see the peace there? In 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verse 9, this is Solomon being told by his father David this. And you, my son Solomon, acknowledge the God of your father and serve him with wholehearted devotion, with a willing mind. For the Lord searches every heart and understands every motive behind the thoughts. If you seek him, he'll be found by you, but if you forsake him, he'll reject you forever. So we can seek God by not forgetting his teachings and using them daily. We need peace in this life. We see food prices going up as well as everything else with inflation. And I like the gas price. It's down a little bit now. I'm not going to I can be a prophet. It's going back up. Just check me. See if I'm going to be right about that. That's not good news, though, is it? That's not good news. It's enough to make people worry. You know, people that have a limited income, and it's difficult. You see the price of all these different food out there? I concentrate on eggs, and I went by Brahms. I was going to get these cage-free pasture eggs, and I saw them for $6.99 at Brahms. And I called back and told Debbie, and so I got these regular old white eggs. Debbie couldn't believe it. I don't believe you. I said, that's what I saw there. The price tag was right underneath them. She goes to a different Brahms and gets the same thing for $3.89 or something. I didn't really see it correctly, but eggs are really going up anyway. I want to tell you that. You know, sometimes people try to go to sleep, but their minds won't let them because they worry. Worry means to be torn into. And that's exactly what anxiety does. It tears people apart. The result is tension. We can't sleep at night. We can't enjoy ourselves during the day. Now here's what I would like. If you have to worry, well, we're going to worry from 8 to 8:30, that time slot, and then we shut the door on it. And then we get a good night's sleep after that. Wouldn't that be a wonderful power to have? But it doesn't happen that way. You all know it. Worry floods the mind. It makes it very difficult. I want to give you an example. I was reading about this woman. I don't know how maybe she was 30 or something, but she and her husband, they were on the East Coast. They were out on a beach. They were by the water, and they were tossing a football back and forth. And then all of a sudden she noticed that her wedding ring had slipped off her finger. No big deal, right? Women, would that be no big deal to you? I mean, it slipped off. And it wasn't just her wedding ring. It was a family heirloom. It was her great-grandmother wore that same ring. Not her grandmother. Her great-grandmother wore that ring. So I'm sure she looked something like that. They looked for 4 hours. They couldn't find it. So she goes to social media and tells what happened and the location, and she wanted people to go out there with metal detectors and try to find it. And she was amazed. She and her husband, they go back out there and they find a bunch of people out there with metal detectors. They're looking. One person goes out there 2 times and he still couldn't find it. He goes back a 3rd time. And he's got this wetsuit. He's got these goggles. He's got a detector, and he goes under the water off the shore there. He finds it 4 inches under the sand, pulls it up, and he sends a message saying to her, "Please tell me this is the ring so I can finally get it off this beach." So I can finally get off the beach. And as he brought it to her, her husband got down on one knee to replace it on her finger. And this is a story of a lost ring that resulted in happiness when a stranger found it, as well as the grandness of kindness shown. She found peace by asking others for help, and God's wisdom of kindness stepped forward, giving her peace, stepped forward in the lives of many people. What does God desire in each person? What does God desire in each person? Well, here it is. What is desirable in a person is his or her kindness. And it is better to be a poor person than a liar. Well, what does that have to do with it? It doesn't matter how much wealth you've got, whether you can be kind or not, does it? But if you're a liar, you're not kind. You cannot be kind. And so that's the first idea of peace that comes from God's wisdom. Putting into practice His teachings. The second one here we find is favor. Here's the condition. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. That's where you put them. You don't forget them. You have them. They're there. You live by them. And the result is this. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man, or people. In the sight of a good name, a good repute, insight, or understanding. If you're that way with people, you're looked upon favorably. So what are we to do? Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. What does it mean to bind kindness or loyalty around your neck? Well, I mean, I've got this tie up here bound around my neck. Can everyone see it? You see that okay? Well, that's how it's supposed to be with kindness and loyalty. That you actually see it. You don't hide it somewhere, put it in your pocket, or... No, you keep it in the open. You live by it, and people notice it. And so I was reading another example about this in someone's life. This guy says, my teacher takes a bus for 2 hours every day, each way, to get to work and back. Another high school senior said this about his math teacher. It was this same person he's talking about. We've been taught certain values like empathy and to treat your fellow person as you'd want to be treated. That sounds like the golden rule, doesn't it? And so this person, Julio Castro, he was the embodiment of that. And no wonder his students complimented. He would help during his lunch break. He would tutor a student. If a student needed help after school, he would tutor them. He would help them. And they didn't even have to come from his class. They could come from another class. He would help. That's why he was there, to teach. Well, now remember, he takes a bus. He might miss his bus ride at a certain time. He may be delayed and then have to get home later. And sometimes it was 9:30 at night before he would get home. He had some children at home. He wanted to get back as soon as he could, but he wanted to make sure that he was kind and loyal to his students. And so, what did they do? They found out what he was doing and how he got to work. And so one of them came up with a fundraiser. And they worked on that for the whole summer, and they came up with a lot of money. They had a special meeting. He thought it was a faculty appreciation ceremony. And it was, but it was for one teacher. He didn't know it was just for him. He's on the faculty, yeah, so it was a faculty reward for him. They gave him a car, a Mazda 2019. I don't know what model it was, but they came up with $30,000. They paid for a year of, well, when this story was written, they paid for a year of gas. I don't know if it's going to last that long now, and a year of insurance on the car. But he couldn't believe what they had done for him. He said, I feel surprised. I feel special. Thank you to my students. They are all like my kids. One of his students believes he will find a way to pay it forward because his teacher taught them to do to others as you would have them do to you. That's what he taught. So a reputation of kindness and loyalty can bring encouragement to others. My son, do not forget my teachings, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. And then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man or people. People need kindness. A reputation of kindness is what we need to have. And so we've seen what is desirable in a person is kindness. And many people are discouraged. They need kindness in this life. So what are we, knowing these instructions, to do? Well, the wise person teaches others how to live. Let me close with a few examples here. Some sayings and applications from wisdom. People are insecure. Give them confidence. Well, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For through wisdom your days will be many, and years will be added to your life. If you are wise, your wisdom will reward you. Boy, I'd like for that to soak into people. They want to be rewarded. They want to have a longer life. Well, here's the source. Go to God for that. People like to feel special. Sincerely compliment them. The tongue that brings healing is a tree of life, but a deceitful tongue crushes the spirit. I don't know how people feel. I know that a compliment is very beneficial. I know it is to me. I like it when I get one. I want to tell you, I had the diabetes seminar Thursday night. We had 15 people that came. 6 of them came to the seminar, and they're not members of the church here. They came to the seminar presented by Ryan this last week. And I want to tell you, they're all coming back. They raved about it. They thought it was outstanding. It was so good. And they can't wait to come back. I wanted to let you know that, Ryan. So we're all looking forward to it. And we're all looking forward to learning more. People are looking for a better tomorrow. Show them hope. Well, the proverb says, eat honey, my son, for it is good. Honey from the comb is sweet to your taste. Know also that wisdom is sweet to your soul. If you find it, there's a future hope for you, and your hope will not be cut off. It will not be cut off. Go to God's wisdom. People need to be understood. Listen to them. Well, look at this proverb. A fool finds no pleasure in understanding, but delights in airing his own opinions. Have you ever met anyone like that? Well, that, according to Solomon, is a fool. He who answers before listening, that's his folly and his shame. That's in verse 13 of the 18th chapter. He who answers before listening, that's his folly and his shame. We need to listen, and we'll understand better. People lack direction. Help them navigate. I guide you. I guide you in the way of wisdom. I guide you in the way of wisdom and lead you along straight paths. Let's guide them that way. People seek models to follow. Be an example. Walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffers harm. So we see this again. The reason I guess I used that picture is that it seemed like the water was so calm and peaceful. My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity. If we want to have a more peaceful life, a life with purpose and meaning, let's keep God's commands. And that will help